Hello, it's Daz, and welcome to another discussion about what's happening. On Friday, May 16th, Moody's rating downgraded the U.S. sovereign credit rating to AA1 from AAA, citing concerns about the nation's growing debt and increasing interest cost. So this idea that China was gonna somehow, or other countries, get rid of the deficit is looking more like it's gonna be on the American people with policies like the Big Beautiful Bill, which has passed with the Senate. I think it still has votes, and this is going to mean more cuts to government programs like Medicaid or SNAP, or what we think of as food stamps. And it will mean that less people can receive assistance who are already struggling. And also, we see with a lot of these corporations that now that even though the trade war is technically on pause, they're still doing massive layoffs. Like Walmart announced they were going to lay off 1,200 employees. So policies do affect everyday people, and we do see the United States as having a reckoning with everything going on. I look at 2025 as a mirror of everything that's been. And something really interesting about it all was I realized that growing up in the United States and everything, and being at the age of 30, I look back at the past and see how a lot of things that I was taught to believe in, even just about the way the world works, was just the opposite of it. For instance, you're taught meritocracy, and if you just work hard and you take these certain steps, then you're going to be guaranteed a middle-class life, when we see that's not the case for a lot of people. The idea that if you go to college and you take out a loan, that it's going to pay for itself because you're going to end up with a job in your field, but we see that's not been the case. And we've been told these stories and narratives because it helps with social control and citizens behaving. Or this idea that we live in a colorblind era, like that was big when I was born in the mid-90s. But as we've seen, there's been so much tension regarding race, gender, class. I mean, in general, there's just a lot of tribalism as well in the United States and abroad. But there's just so many things people are taught. And then growing up in the church when I was younger and hearing that I'm to treat others the way I want to be treated, and that God wants you to prosper, but then you see around you that it seems like that's not that God doesn't want you to prosper, but the world's doing everything it can to kind of suck the faith out of you. And I can look back honestly and say that I was reflecting on this. I would often feel a lot of anxiety, and I'd panic a lot because the reality that I was taught to believe in, the reality I was experiencing, were radically different things. And I used to feel like I was going crazy. I used to feel out of place because everyone bought into everything, and if you didn't buy into it, you were considered crazy or weird or a crackpot or something. I can remember learning about the truth movement and all this stuff, and when I first learned about it as a teenager, it was still considered fringe. And then by the time I came onto YouTube, it was starting to gain more traction, but still considered fringe. And then somewhere in the 2020s, now everybody is a conspiracy theorist of some kind. All this stuff that you got laughed at for believing is now the norm. And I'm watching regular everyday people who were more cookie cutter have their existential crisis about how the world that they thought they knew isn't the world that they have today. And a lot of it is the mirror being held up to the reality that we're facing. And I can say, as someone who has felt like I had an awakening many, many times from many different things, from my spirituality to what I believe about politics and everything else, that it's almost like now a reckoning. And I do feel for people who have bought into it all their life, and now it's like if you're older, it could be scary if you bought into it, and if you're young, it could be scary because your life is just getting started. But it's like, what future is there with all of the things happening? And I don't know if anyone else has felt this way throughout their life, where they felt like they could see that there was a lot of BS out there, and that a lot of what they were being told and what they were being pushed to believe just wasn't what there was. But yet when you try to question it, you were seen as someone who was going against the grain, problematic, even bitter. You're just upset. It's like crazy because I hear the same people that like mocked people like me or you or in this space, they talk just the same way now. It's crazy to see that flip on its head. The funny thing is now, like, I don't even consider like anything I talked about 10, 15, well, I mean, about 11 years has been since I had the channel, but even before I came on to YouTube, I don't even consider a lot of this anymore to be like fringe, because we have people talking about it in the mainstream media. We have people talking about it at the White House. And it doesn't matter if they're on the right-leaning or the left-leaning side. Everybody somehow believes in conspiracy theories now. Everybody sees Hollywood is twisted now because of Diddy and all these cases and Harvey Weinstein. But yet, when you said that back in the day, you were just a lunatic. It's just funny to see that now. But there's definitely like a 2025, I look at it more as a mirror. I look at it as a reckoning of a sense, like as crazy as everything is and as dark as everything's getting, I actually feel more at peace than ever, because if anything, I feel like everything that I questioned is like, I feel like it's a confirmation of the things I've believed. And I don't know about you, but I feel like a calm through the storm that's happening in the United States and in the world right now. But again, I can understand for those who bought in how this can be very, very scary and very, very unnerving. Also, the things like, things are just really coming to a head. But I'd like to know what your thoughts are on it. Have you felt similar lately? How have you felt? When did you start to realize that things weren't as they seem? What are your thoughts about more layoffs and the fact that the United States is going to be the one picking up the tab, the U.S. citizens, not other countries, as we see time and time again? Let me know. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week and a wonderful weekend. Take care. God bless. Until next time.